Good evening, everybody. This video is about dealing with chronic pain and clinging to hope. Of course, from a Christian perspective. I'll explain that part of the titles here in a little bit. The other two videos have had a lot of great responses, like great comments and messages. I just want you all to know I appreciate it. I'm just doing this to help other people. That's what this whole thing's about, is to help others. So anyway, just so you know, I am so appreciative, and let's get on with this one, because this one's important too. It's not mental illness, it's not abuse, it's chronic pain, which is still a big deal for a lot of people. It's been about a decade I have been dealing with chronic back pain. How I got injured is absolutely unbelievable. As I've said in these other videos, I couldn't make this up. I just couldn't. I couldn't make this up. It all started at a donut shop in Tulsa. They used to donate their leftover donuts to Kara, the place I worked, to our after-school program for the kids. And what I would do is I would go to the shop just before they closed, and once they closed, they'd give me all the leftovers. I'd take them back to work. One particular day, they asked me to help them move a very large donut mixer. Spoiler alert, if you are asked to help move anything at a business and you do not work there, you do not do it. You do not offer to help. You tell them no, period. I'm the poster child for what could happen if something goes wrong. And believe me, something went wrong. Trying to be helpful, I agreed to help move this monstrosity. Now, granted, it was super easy to move. Well, it was super easy as long as you could scoot it. But in the midst of moving it, one of the legs broke off. And when it did, that 200-pound mixer slammed me into a wall and trapped me for a little while. I injured my right wrist and thought I'd messed up my knee, which basically, it turned out I'd only skinned it up, so it wasn't too bad. They transported me to the hospital by ambulance, and over time, that's how I learned I had injured my wrist to the point where it needed physical therapy. It was months and months before it was 100%. I thought that was the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. Not too long after I settled with the insurance company, I started to experience back pain. I went to several doctors over the years. Oh, man. Most believing they could help me, but in the end, they were all proven wrong. Then about 2.5 years ago, I went to see this doctor that was supposed to be one of the best ones around. If that's the case, it certainly wasn't because of his bedside manner, because he was a jerk, I'm just going to tell you. He told me he didn't know why I came to see him. Seriously, he said that to me. He then proceeded to ask me if I was aware of all my previous procedures, what they really were. And of course I knew what had been done to my own body. After controlling myself through that appointment, I decided I was done seeing doctors for this problem, that I have to just learn to deal with the pain. Now, that's a very hard place to be in. That is just, it's difficult to sit there and say, I've been dealing with it at this point, but I don't have any hope. I'm just going to go from here and just handle it how I'm handling it now. And then I made a decision that really would change everything. I decided to go to Maplebrook Acupuncture in Tulsa and see what they could do for me. No one on this planet was more skeptical than me about going to acupuncture. I mean, it wasn't high on my list, and I didn't expect much. The first time they put those needles in my arm and they asked me to stand up, my pain level dropped from a 10 to a 2 in an instant. Think about that. 10 being the worst, and you drop to a 2 just by a few needles in your arm. I'd like to say that was it, but that's not quite how it turned out. I continued to go to treatments for months, and I could go a day or two without pain, but it would eventually come back and be at that level 10 again until I went to the next appointment. They suggested I start trying to do some THC-free CBD oil. It's expensive, but it might allow me to be pain-free every day. At least there's a shot of that. Well, if it worked, the cost would be less than what I was paying for the acupuncture sessions. I used our tax return to try it, and it did exactly what we hoped it would do. Taking one dose a day keeps me pain-free for basically 24 hours. A handful of times I've needed to use 2 doses, but that's only when I've done way too much, way more than I'm supposed to. There's still issues that I have to deal with. The limitations I had before taking CBD oil are still there. I can only sit I can only sit in certain spots. I can't stand or walk for very long without some kind of support. I can't do yard work at all. I can't pick up anything that weighs more than maybe 15 to 20 pounds, if that much. Driving too much causes me pain. I don't like it. I don't like any of it, but that's the way it is. I can't change it. But like me, you have to look beyond your limitations. That's not always easy to do. It's not. I am pain-free. And if you have told me, since I've lived a decade with back pain at a level 10 with no relief inside, and then you told me told by multiple doctors, there's no way they can help you, well, I'd say that CBD oil is a blessing. It's a blessing. It's not a curse. It gives hope to the hopeless. It gives hope to a man who was hopeless. I'm so thankful for Dwayne and Ildi for being a part of that process and helping me and many of my friends who have had issues, and I can't thank them enough. And in previous videos, I've discussed my experiences. I've addressed my struggles with mental health. I've shared my childhood abuse at the hands of my brother and the forgiveness that saved our relationship in the end. And I've talked about my daily walk while dealing with chronic back pain. I know that when some of you watch these videos, you're wondering, how in the world do I confess to be a Christian when all of these issues are going on? But if you are asking that question, you don't realize you haven't seen the whole picture. When I was young, we're talking birth to 4 or 5 years old, I was deathly ill. I don't use that term lightly. I was constantly in and out of the hospital. I remember some of those days to this day. I really do. My mom still talks about how close I came to death many times. They never thought I'd live to be 46, I could tell you that. After tons of doctor and hospital visits, it was determined that I was suffering from a horrible allergy to milk. I was then not allowed to have any milk whatsoever. And I mean, none, not even a trace of it. It wasn't like lactose intolerance. It was much, much worse. If they had not figured that out, I wouldn't be here right now. But something happened beyond what the doctors could do. I remember that it was on a Sunday night. We were at church and the speaker asked if anyone needed prayer. My dad brought me to the front and said I wanted to be healed of my allergy to milk. Trust me, I thought that was a cool idea. They prayed over me and we sat back down. I didn't feel any warm fuzzies. I didn't feel any different. I got prayed for. That's nice, And it wasn't like, people see on television where people knock people down and all that, people falling here and there. That's a different thing. And that's not what I'm talking about here. I just went up. People asked, "You need a prayer?" Dad said he is allergic to milk and he needs prayer. So that's what we did. Well, after the service, Dad took me to the store and bought me a carton of milk chocolate ice cream. One bite of this stuff should have put me back in the hospital. But you know what? It didn't. Not only did I eat a bowl of ice cream that night, I have never had any more issues regarding milk in 40 years. None at all. Not even a little hiccup of anything. That isn't supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to be here. But because of God, I'm still here. When Brianna was 3, we had a horrible wreck. We had just come back from vacation in Austin, and we had made a trip to Walmart to stock up on groceries. It was pouring down rain and visibility wasn't great. All of a sudden, we hydroplaned and I lost control of the vehicle. Witnesses said we spun around and around, then part of the vehicle went up into the air. This caused the steel guardrail to open the bottom of our vehicle up like a can opener. We finally came to a stop and next to a steel pole in the median of the highway. No one hit us. No one was hurt. Then I looked at the pole. There was only 1 inch between my door and the pole. I know because I stuck my fingers in there after I got out of the car to measure it. Some nice young men gave us a ride home, and I talked to my father, and he said he would handle everything as far as getting the car towed and all that. It was late, and I was pretty out of it. I mean, I really was. It was probably shock more than anything. So I didn't argue about that. I mean, like, you want to do it? Have fun. He got me calmed down, and I went to bed. And I didn't know this until years later. I mean, I really didn't. He never said this to me. But my mom told me Dad said to her that night that he couldn't believe we survived that wreck. We should all have died in that accident, especially me. That wasn't supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to be here, but because of God, I'm here. And I'm still here. I struggle with suicide, depression, bipolar disorder, panic disorder, all that good stuff, but I'm still here. I was tormented by my brother for most of my childhood, but I'm still here. I suffered through illness and back pain, but I'm still here. We all go through difficult times, and we all have said, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this, but we're still here. There's a reason for everything. I believe I've gone through all the stuff I've gone through in order to help others who are struggling with similar issues. If one person is comforted by my story, by any part of it, it's all worth it. Every video has been entitled with a Christian perspective. The reason for this is because I'm a follower of Christ. He is the central part of my life. You don't get to know me without knowing that, because that's who I am. I believe that many people think Christians believe that they are above everyone else, or that they're perfect. And people think that that's what we think. We're not. Not even close. Others think that if you're really a Christian, that stuff wouldn't happen to you. Well, I'm sorry, but I proved time and time again how wrong that statement is. I've had many problems in my life, and I still struggle like anyone else who has similar issues that I've had. But I have hope. I have faith. I believe. So how can I deal with all these experiences and still claim to believe in God? Because without Him, I would be lost. I would have no reason to go on. But because of God, I am able to share my life story with others online and in person. If I give hope to one person, it's all worth it. My life has been dark as midnight sometimes. I have had no idea how I could possibly think I would make it another day through those horrific circumstances, but I'm still here. And I'm going to be here as long as God wants me to be. We all have issues. We all have things. And what might seem like nothing to us is horrible to someone else. We all could use a little hope. Because there's a lot of hopeless out there in this world. If I was not a Christian, I probably would not be alive, because I would have no hope. I have hope. And you can say, oh, I don't agree with what you say. I don't agree with this or that. That's fine. I'm not here to cause a huge debate or cause an argument. No, absolutely not. That's not what this is about. This is about helping people. And no one has ever told me yet that when I say, can I pray for you, whether they're a believer or not, has never told me no. No, you can't do that. Really? Why? There is nothing I can do more that shows that I care about you and what you're going through than if I pray for you. That's what I do. That is my go-to. And if you ask me to pray for you, I am praying for you. I have a prayer list, and you will be on it until you tell me otherwise. That's me. So I just want to pray one more last time for these videos, and then I'll close it up here in just a second. God, whoever's watching this video, whoever sees this video, Lord, I just pray that you would help them to come to terms with any of these things that they've seen, whether it has to do with pain, whether it has to do with abuse or unforgiveness, or, dealing with suicide, depression, and things like that. Lord, you know all that we go through. Nothing catches you by surprise. Nothing's ever caught you by surprise, ever. We don't always know why. We don't always understand why, and I don't claim to have all the answers. Anything but. I do not have all the answers. But I do know you do. So, Lord, I just pray for everyone watching this that, Lord, you would help them with their struggles. If they need help, that they would seek that help from someone. And I just pray, Lord, that you would bless each and every listener. In Jesus' name. Okay, guys. Now, as for the future, I've thought about doing some different videos that are different than this, of course, because this is my testimony, and I basically have given my testimony in 3 videos. So I don't want to do a whole big series on that, but I'm thinking about doing some things. So I'd be interested to know what your feedback is on these videos. I get a lot of feedback as it is, but this is just say, would you like to see something in a similar format, but it would be different subject matter and things like that. So it's something I'm thinking about and praying about, and we'll see what happens with that. So any input you want to give is fine. Good, bad, or ugly, I don't care. Just let me know. Anyway, so until I see you guys again, just pray that God will help you through another day tomorrow and the day after that. Everyone have a very blessed night, and we'll see you later. Thanks.